Hitachi's 18-volt recip saw, OLFA's new security utility knives, Makita's subcompact impact wrench, and we do an old-fashioned tape measure shootout. All this and more on Pro Tool Reviews Live. Hey, thanks for joining us. I'm Clint DeBoer. I'm here with Kenny Kaler and Tim Johnson. This is Pro Tool Reviews Live. We attempt to answer your questions, talk about tools, tell you about all the new stuff that's on the market, where we've been, what's going on in the industry. If you love tools, this is the place to be. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere there is any sort of live or social media coverage, we'll be there. And use the hashtag PTR Live. If you've got a question, we'd love to answer it. And let's get started. So we wanted to start the Hot Tools segment with Hitachi's new 18-volt recip saw. And we got this thing in, and it's actually pretty cool. And what I really love about it are the ergonomics, but there's a lot to like, and let's tell everybody about it.
Yeah, so if you looked at our cordless reciprocating saw shootout from last year, you'll notice Hitachi did not perform as well as they wanted to, or really anybody else for that matter. So when we got the upgrade, we wanted to know two things. You know, what's different on the feature set, and does it perform better than the old one? And the answer is yes in both categories.
Yeah, and they were due. I mean, this
very
is
much so.
It's great to see it come out because, like you said, they just didn't do that well.
Yeah, if you noticed with the triple hammer impact driver that they came out with a little while ago, it kind of ushered in a new generation of cordless tools for Hitachi.
It's kind of a refresh.
It is, and the whole generation has been much, much better. So you're going to notice some things on the new reciprocating saw. For one, it's got a very, very narrow profile compared to most recip saws, especially in the front handle. It's much thinner, much more comfortable to use than that standard grip where you feel like you're having to try to muscle something around.
Yeah, I like being able to get my hand on it. And to your point, what's really going to be the challenge is that if you're used to kind of the old Hitachi tools, you're going to at least want to get your hands on these. Mm-hmm. You're going to go find out where they're sold at a dealer and just pick them up and handle them, because there's a lot of changes in terms of ergonomics, but also the power. Power, you know, you're going to need an end cap that's letting you demo them, or you're going to need to, grab one, or you're going to need to trust us or see what we're doing with it. But definitely, even just getting your hands on them, there's a big difference.
Yeah, and you're looking at a pretty full feature set this time around, but there is one thing missing, and that's orbital action.
Right.
So we did some testing, and we noticed that the new saw is about twice as fast as the old one. So massive performance improvement. But without that orbital action, it is definitely going to be missing something when you're going through wood cutting. But there's a really big but here. This isn't the last cordless reciprocating saw for Hitachi. They've already got another one in the works.
Okay.
We've got the multi-volt platform, so we know that they're going to have the 36-volt tools. The next one will have orbital action on it. So this is still a very, very good saw. It's going to compete very, very well in the cordless sector. It's just, the next one's going to be even better.
So we also got some knives in from OLFA, and those look like they're going to be very, very handy, and I love those kind of knives. So
yeah, so if you've ever used a breakaway utility knife blade, OLFA is the company that invented it. So everybody's got them. You can pick them up really, really cheap at any hardware store or big box store, wherever. And OLFA's priced ahead of that stuff. So a lot of people thinking, well, why do I want to pay more for something that I can just get really cheap? Answer is for multiple reasons. For one thing, you got to ask the question, why are you buying a throwaway tool if you could get one that will actually last you longer?
Right.
I don't know about you guys, but I carry a folding knife on me all the time, and some days that's going to be a $40 knife, and some days that's a $200 knife. So why can't I just go out and grab a quality utility knife that I can use more than for a couple of days or a week? So that's the kind of the target that OLFA's got here. So for about $20, you're getting their premium brand, but it's going to have some metal in it that runs all the way through. That's what's giving us some extra durability. It's fiberglass reinforced nylon for the handle.
So like a tool.
Yeah, and it's got a rubber overmold. So it's a much more comfortable, much more durable tool. And then there are the blades themselves.
Right. Which is really that's where really they get convenient.
Yeah, and I would say, you know, from growing up in a glass company, doing a lot of auto glass, we also crossed into doing window tint as well. And I say that meaning that I knew the difference between that 99-cent breakaway blade and the OLFA knife, and I always carried an OLFA knife just because there's there was a lot less of a tolerance, if you will, in the blade to the body. It was a lot more solid knife. You had a lot more consistency when you're making your cut on that window tint or whatever. So if you're opening boxes, it's one thing.
Right.
But if you're actually using that blade all the time, there's a difference in a tool. It's like,
and if you need an edge,
yeah,
and you
it's
constantly
like
need an edge.
picking up a nice screwdriver and a 99-cent screwdriver.
Yeah.
I mean, you know the difference when you're using that type of tool.
And I like the time savings. I mean, I like, you know, if you got to stop and you got to, you know, flip your blade out and keep going, and you get two clean edges, then you're done, and you got to eject the blade and throw it. You know, I like just the snap and go.
Yeah, there's some intentionality behind everything in their design. The blade itself is 59 degrees, and that's a combination of cutting surface and blade strength. Then they've also got two different blade types. You're going to notice silver blades and black blades. The silver blades, according to OLFA, were already the sharpest on the market. And then they changed the grind and the hone some on their black blades. They get 25% sharper surface and a much cleaner cut. We've got a lot more detail on all that on our website right now, but you can check that out. But the 25 millimeter, the bigger XHAL, which is pretty much their premium,
Like the
premium handle
utility
right now.
knife type
Yep.
replacement. Yep.
Yep. That's going to run you about $20. You can get a pack of 20 of the silver blades. Those are going to run you $27, or a pack of 20 black blades. Those will be about $30. So not much of a price premium to get that black blade. We've used both. Both of them are great. It depends. I mean, if you're scoring drywall, it's one thing. If you're, cutting out glass, that's one thing.
Right.
If you're cutting boxes, that's one thing. But definitely worth considering ditching the throwaway stuff and holding on to something for longer.
Yeah, I like that idea. So check out more on that at ProToolReviews.com. But also now we got some new products over at Shop to Reviews, and you were going to talk us about a new tapper.
Yeah, so Champion Cutting Tools has their new XL tapper. And basically it looks like a drill, but you actually use your standard taps and actually put them in and tighten the set screw. And then it's got a mechanism on the end of this, what looks like a drill, that actually automatically taps these holes. Now, you understand the old tapping way was, a very manual process, using the T-handle, having to screw those things in, and a lot of
You
times...
had to put oil on it. It was slow. You couldn't rush the process. Yeah.
Exactly. You worried about breaking taps, but this is really a simple process. And the neat thing is, it's got a geared mechanism in it that actually, so you go forward to actually run your threads in. So you drill your hole, you put your tap in, you squeeze the trigger, it runs forward, setting all the threads. And then when you go as deep as you need to, you actually pull back on the drill and it automatically reverses. You don't have to change any switches.
Right.
And it automatically backs out of the hole. And I actually ran 6 of these. I drilled 5 16-inch holes and actually was doing a 3/8 tap. And so with that 3/8 tap, typically you're used to, kind of lubing every time. Well, all I did was use their Brute Lube, which is actually a wax.
Okay.
And I put the wax on every other hole. So in a sense, in between, I wasn't lubing every single time, and it would still ran the threads no problem at all.
So you don't have to keep doing it all the time, because when we would go through whatever 1/8-inch steel,
Right.
It literally one of us would be sitting there dropping the oil in while the other's,
No, I'm not saying
high-speed drilling is obviously where you need oil, and then tapping was
Sure.
It was an issue with heat buildup, but you're
Yeah,
sitting every other in your.
Well, I'm just saying that it probably wouldn't hurt to do that, but I'm just saying I didn't do that, and
and it was
it
fine.
did great. Exactly right. And I was using Champion Cutting Tools taps as well, but again, this just worked really, really well. And also one thing it does, it kind of auto centers on the hole and follows that hole. So if you drill a little bit crooked, it's actually going to follow that path and not break that tap off. And if you look at the head, it's kind of got a little wobble to it. It's not really rigid. And also the mechanism is like a geared mechanism, like a clutch style, I would assume, but it's not electronic. So as soon as you pull back on it, it reverses and pulls it back out very fast. And really like it. Again, it's the Champion Cutting Tools XL Tapper.
So we're seeing more of this, we've already talked about this. It used to be a really slow process, but it seems like now, for anybody who hasn't, been tapping metal and using any of these new products to do that, I think that you need to take a look at this stuff, because I think you've got something from Atabo that does this. You've got these guys, Champions, doing it. You've got some products from Klein that were coming out that were based for higher speed tapping.
Right.
It just kind of seems to be more you know, like the industry's kind of found a new way to do this. It's not so slow. So again, this is a new way to speed up the job.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, what I was doing was not just like 1/8 inch metal or aluminum. I was actually drilling into 3/8 inch thick I-beam and, you know, tapping 3/8 inch, 3/8 threads. And all of them threaded in very good when I was done. So yeah, I mean, you're right. We're starting to learn how to do this with machines now that is a lot quicker than your typical, you know, hand style tapping, which was really a pain.
That's pretty cool. That is definitely cool. And anything that can save you time is worth checking out. So go ahead and take a look at that on shoptoolreviews.com. And hey, let's talk about Makita's new tool.
Yeah, so we're back in the subcompact class of Makita tools, and if you're not familiar with these so far, you're talking about tools that have essentially 12-volt size and weight and performance level, but you're staying on the 18-volt platform. So that gives you access to the most compact tools, the 18-volt tools that we like to turn to, and then of course you move to their X2 platform, and you got 36-volt power. So you're covering all three of those classes, still just using the one 18-volt battery platform, so you're not buying into 3 different platforms to get there. That's the major advantage. With the new impact wrench, we're talking about 130 foot-pounds of power, of torque, and you get 2 modes. You got a high and a low to work with. So the question really is, you convert your 130 foot-pounds into inch-pounds of torque, and you're looking at 1,560, which is just a little bit more than Makita's 18-volt impact drivers. Right. So the question there is, well, why not just use the 18-volt impact driver? You know, the answer is you're looking for that really lightweight and that more compact size. Now, I did notice that with this model, Makita went for a more elongated head, but it's much, much narrower. So depending on what you're working on, you know, in construction, we're a lot of times working around framing or maybe into some concrete, probably not with this tool in concrete, but you look more at the automotive side of things, you look more to the shop side of things, and sometimes getting into a narrow space is more important than getting into a short space. Yeah.
So interiors, things like that would be great for a little tool like that.
Yeah, and exactly. You're going to get more power transfer off a 3/8 inch head like that too than a 1/4 inch chuck. So for them to take that same, you know, that same kind of energy, but transfer it that way, you're just that more of that power is going to go to that driver.
Yeah, and that's the real benefit of this tool is that you're not having to put that 1/4 inch converter in there and move to that square drive. You got a 3/8 inch square drive to start with, so you put your socket right on there. So this is a tool designed not for fastening screws with a Phillips head bit or a Torx bit or something like that. This is definitely where you want to stick a socket, and it's going to do a lot of great work around lag screws, timber screws, that kind of stuff that you would normally try to look to the impact driver for because the impact driver's got enough power. But again, you're avoiding the adapter.
And Kenny, what's the max torque on it again?
130 foot-pounds, which translates into 1,560 inch-pounds.
Sure, and you know, my point, a lot of times, again, we go overboard on these big torque numbers and everything else, but you know, when you boil it down, I would say using a tool like that, you're going to be using that on, say, a 1/2 inch bolt, maybe a 9/16 inch bolt, 15 millimeter, what have you, somewhere around that. And you take a hardened, 15 millimeter bolt, and even the max torque range on that, it's not even 100 foot-pounds. So, you don't need it. So, now if you're stepping up into 3/4 inch bolts, you probably need a 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch drive, maybe a high torque or mid torque. But yeah, I like the idea. I like the subcompact, and it's ideal, whether it's construction or even, under the hood or, in the interiors of vehicles, what have you. For that kind of mid-sized bolt, if you will.
Yeah, we've been saying for years, and really in the context of 12-volt tools, just about how much work you can get done.
Yes.
I mean, you get like 80% of your work done a lot of the times. Depends on what you do for a living, but general contractors, things like that, guys that are on the job site can get a lot done with these 12-volt tools. Well, Makita, with their subcompact line, basically gives you the advantage of that lightweight 12-volt tool, but with the same battery platform. And you don't have to go out and buy new batteries. You're not on a new platform. You're not worrying about that. I mean, they've got 12-volt tools as well. But I just think it's cool. It's a good fit. I'm excited kind of about the line. I want to see what else they're going to add.
Right.
Yeah, and the big thing is, when you look at 130 foot-pounds, it doesn't sound like a lot on an 18-volt platform. But when you compare it to what everybody else is doing on the 12-volt platform, it's actually more power.
Right.
So again, it's not so much about competing with the heavy end of the line as much as it is putting that 12-volt tool on an 18-volt battery.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So we're going to head over to our industry update, but first we're going to have a word from our sponsor. Okay, Cafe Mochiata. We've actually got 3 giveaways this week. Let's flip it around and give some good news out. The first, I'll let you start. I started last week.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first giveaway for Shop Tool Reviews is the DeWalt mid-range impact wrench. We were talking about impact wrench a few minutes ago, and now we're back on them again. This is the new mid-range, 330 foot-pounds with the DeWalt. Really excited about this tool. Again, it kind of hits a sweet spot into like the work you do with a lesser weighted tool.
Bless you.
It's live, ladies and gentlemen. This is just what happens.
It's the oak
So-
pollen.
With that
The
said,
mid-range tool from DeWalt. So that's our giveaway for Shop Tool Reviews. I know that's going to go crazy. I really do think that's going to be a big hit. So we're excited about that one. And then for OPE reviews, on the OPE side of things, outdoor power equipment, we're giving away the Echo SRM 2620T. Now that is a gas-powered model.
Yeah.
So I feel like all we've talked about is cordless lately. So your gas-powered fans, we've got the SRM 2620. It's basically their high torque model of their string trimmer line, and it's their X series, which they consider their Pro Series, 26 cc's.
it's the 2-to-1.
Correct. 2-to-1 gear reduction versus the typical 1.62-to-1 gear reduction. So it's a lot torquier model, and their X series line is what they consider their Pro line. So really nice trimmer, comes with a speed feed, 400 head on it. So it's got the dual line speed feed head. So make sure you check those out. Some great giveaways. And then on the PTR side, what do we have?
We're giving away a 150cc Hitachi cordless framing nailer.
Sweet.
Gas-powered, runs on diesel. No.
Oh, gas and
No, it
diesel.
doesn't.
It's
Okay,
hybrid.
tag,
It's hybrid.
It's a hybrid.
It is not.
All right, it's 18 volt. It's cordless, but it's awesome. So it's the framing nailer runs off 18 volt. But what's cool about this particular framing nailer is it actually is very, very consistent. But we're giving away the nailer, the battery, the kit, the charger. You get the whole thing. Go ahead and sign up for that on ProToolReviews.com. Look at ShopToolReviews.com, OPReviews.com, and as we tell you every week, if you can't find our contest, you're not looking very hard, because there's pop-ups, there's links, there's banners. It's all over the place.
Social media. I mean, we
Social
post them
media.
on social media all the
Yeah,
time.
we got them on social media, so that'll be a lot of fun. In this week's head-to-head, we do another awesome tape measure shootout. These end up being like some of the most popular shootouts for us.
They do. Tape measures in particular, everybody owns them. Everybody typically owns several of them. Even if you're not a tool enthusiast, you've probably got one in the garage somewhere. You've got one maybe in your car. You've got another one in the kitchen drawer.
One.
I probably have a few rolling around the seat underneath.
Now, we got about
There's
30
one right
of them
there.
out there
There's one right
now.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're everywhere. And people are always trying to figure out, what's the best one. They want the most for their money. Some people we've gotten some feedback saying, it doesn't matter as long as it's cheap and it's accurate, I'm good. Some other people are saying, nope, I want the strongest one available. Well, we got in touch with a bunch of different manufacturers and asked them to send us their toughest tape. So we got in tapes from DeWalt, Empire, Milwaukee, Stanley, Fatmax, Rigid, Ryobi, Klein, Ox Tools, and Lufkin. And we put them through a whole series of testing. We looked at everything from visibility, accuracy, durability, went through all that good stuff.
We put a couple of them on the rocket with the Tesla. That was kind of
sweet.
fun. So they
Excellent.
did really well in 0G. We didn't do that.
We didn't do that.
We didn't do that test.
We're trying to avoid the fake news hashtag
Yeah,
here.
it's all right.
Yeah. So, a couple of highlights. Lufkin's Black Widow. The blade on that thing, it's green on black. And
That's pretty cool.
it's high visibility in a lot of different light conditions. They've really got something good going on with there.
Is that hard to get used to?
Not at all.
Really?
Not at all. As soon as I started using it, especially when you're measuring on light surfaces like pine or like
Yeah,
our
near
ash table
lumber,
here,
right?
it just pops. So really cool. Really like that one. Standout.
Yeah.
You want to take a guess at who's got the best standout in that group?
Fatmax.
DeWalt?
Not Fatmax.
Wow.
It's DeWalt. DeWalt takes the lead in that. 140,
DeWalt.
140 inches of standout on
Totally
that one.
separate company. Oh,
Totally.
wait.
No, not
No,
separate
not
at all.
really.
Okay.
No.
No. And then, some guys have asked us about, well, what about throw? You know, yes, we got
Yeah.
you got to stand up, but some people like to throw that blade out there. Clint likes to hit people with it. And for that one, Klein
Really?
takes the win on
Wow.
that. Yeah, we got 130 inches
Really?
of throw
They beat
out
Milwaukee.
of that one. They beat Milwaukee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's been kind of my go-to for throw. So I'm gonna wow.
We know
I
that
gotta
you've
grab
been
a
taking
Klein.
that to Kung Fu class with you and practicing.
Like
That's
11
right.
feet.
Yeah.
11-foot throw.
But, you know, kind of the brand that you expect to be a good value, because it typically always is Ryobi.
Yeah.
But think about that for just a moment.
Wait
How
a
many
second.
hand tools have you heard of from Ryobi?
Let me think about that.
Well, they make a hand saw. Wait, no.
No,
They
no.
make a
Screwdrivers?
screwdriver.
No.
They make a tape measure.
They make a tape
That's
measure.
They
their
do make a
first
tape
hand
measure.
tool. So very interesting to see that. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Tape measure is a tool that everybody's using anyway. But, you know, the question is this a shot across the bow from Ryobi saying we're getting ready to move into the hand tool sector?
They've got to be. I mean,
Well,
they've
let's face it.
got to be.
I don't know.
Pull back,
Yeah, yeah, they've got a pull back
They've
and a
got a
sweeper.
pull vacuum,
Yeah.
hand tools.
garage door
Yeah, yeah.
opener.
So
Used to.
anyway, so we'll
yeah.
see what happens with that. We're not going to give away everything, but we will tell you that it came down to, in our drop test, came down to Milwaukee and DeWalt, and they pretty much ended up tied.
For durability.
For
Yeah, so
durability,
feel
yeah. And
manageable.
we were dropping these off of a 10-foot ladder onto concrete. Milwaukee had a little bit of a split in their housing, but functionally was still nearly perfect. DeWalt had less damage on the outside, had just a touch of function in there. But go head over to ProToolReviews.com to check out that shootout, see how everybody did. But definitely DeWalt and Milwaukee ended up on the top of the group.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So one of our favorite segments is so this happened. And,
Yes, it did.
Yes, so it did. So this week we got a hold of this video, and there wasn't a lot of info. There really wasn't. So I don't know where it was shot. I don't know what exactly he was doing. But
It looks fun.
It looks fun, but he takes us. So check this out. He takes a sledgehammer, and what is he doing? He just hits this thing.
Now
and it
C4
explodes.
is not legal, right?
C4 is
Well,
not
and you've-
legal.
And you've
Okay.
got to detonate that with an actual charge.
Okay,
So this
okay.
is probably tannerite?
Legalized explosives.
Legalized explosive, two-part explosive that then you have to do. But I don't know.
You know, you go talk to one of our reviewers over in Georgia, Luke Smith, and he's got some stories. He's a firefighter. He's got some stories of tannerite accidents out there, and it's not something to mess around with.
Yeah.
No,
Serious
no,
stuff.
I would not recommend you hit with a sledgehammer or whatever.
It
Whatever. this
didn't
guy
look
hit.
like a small sledge
No,
that he was
no.
using.
So this year's Darwin Award winner,
Almost goes to that gentleman who shall remain unnamed because he didn't give us his name. So on the OPE report, we got a couple interesting things to look at.
Yes, we do. And amazing enough, it's cordless stuff again.
we're back to cordless.
Yeah, but you know, it's making the news. I mean,
Yeah.
gas powered stuff, there's just not a lot of new stuff coming out. But anyway, so that's why we're talking about it, because it's new.
And if you're a manufacturer and you're really excited about your gas stuff and you haven't told us about it,
Yeah.
that's why we're not talking about it. So you might want to send an email over to,
Yeah. Tim at OPE Reviews. That'll work. So anyway, first is the DeWalt, and
No, not this
No.
year.
No, we're not going to talk about the wall.
it is DeWalt, but
Okay.
it's not the DeWalt. Anyway, first
okay.
is DeWalt has a new line of push mowers, or they've got two new push mowers, 20-inch deck on both of them. One of them is what they're kind of calling their contractor series, which is a 2x20 volt system. And then they've also got their 40 volt max system, which they're considering kind of their pro model, if you will, or that maybe lawn care person, landscaper, or whatever. But cordless units, again, one's using, it comes kitted with the two 5 amp hour 20 volt, which is also compatible with flex volt batteries as well, but it's utilizing the 20 volts. And
So
then,
they'll fit in there, you think?
yes, they will. They definitely will. It's compatible with the flex volt batteries. But if you buy it as a kit, it comes with two 5 amp hour 20 volt batteries. And then the 40 volt max, mower obviously comes with their 6 amp hour 40 volt max line, which is their kind of their lawn care side, or their OPE side, is for their pros, if you will.
Right.
Both of them are $399. So whether you're
Okay.
getting the 2x20 model with the two 5 amp hour batteries, or you're getting the 40 volt max with the 6 amp hour battery, both of them are $399 kitted. And I think you can get the Bear tool, the 40 volt Bear tool, for $299 if I'm not mistaken.
And what's interesting is they're really kind of both 40 volt or 36 volt nominal products.
Yes, correct.
Because that 2x20 actually runs off of both batteries at the same time.
Right.
Drains them both down. So
Right.
So that's kind of cool in the sense that what platform are you on? Here's your mower. You know. So I thought that was interesting, but it also would raise the question: are they going to eventually try to seek greater runtime, which would really take 240s to get them up to speed with
Correct.
some of the other stuff on the
It'll
market?
be interesting. Again, kind of was curious why they decided to come out with two different models
Right.
at the same time. But they did, and again, like I said, they're aiming one at the contractor, and that maybe needs to clean up. Kenny, you and I were talking about it. Maybe it's the contractor needs to clean up a lawn, or doing bank repos, something like that, and where their responsibilities may come into lawn care, and they just need it to run for 45 minutes and clean something up. Then that's kind of they're aiming at the contractor, and then again, their 40 volt line is their pro, if you will.
Yeah, that contractor line is not new. They've had hedge trimmer, string
Right.
trimmer, chainsaw on that 20 volt platform. And the whole idea is I've got a little bit of work to do to clean up my job site so I can get to work. It's not designed to be the homeowner version. It's not designed to be something that you're going to use every single week on a long-term basis.
Right.
Right.
And it's just an interesting lineup because you got the 20 volt, you got the 40 volt, which is their pro focus
Right.
line,
Right.
and then you got the flex volt tools. All of these are their outdoor power equipment products. So you got three different distinct lines. The only two that seem really clear to me are the 40 volt pro and the 20 volt contractor. Not really sure where flex volt sits because it seems to be performing really well up with that 40
Right.
volt,
I
but
personally
yet they're
kind of
not.
like that flex volt line.
Yeah,
They've done a nice
yeah.
job with it.
It's just kind of more of a marketing positioning issue at this point of what's.
Yeah, and that's why I was maybe perplexed, if you will, or curious as to why we saw the 2x20 model and not utilizing the
mower.
flex volt.
Yeah, I don't know.
So anyway, but they're out. We'll see how they perform. Maybe we can get those in and see how they do. Next, though, is something really interesting. And if you followed us on OPE reviews, and we went to the GIE Expo last year in October of 2017 and saw some really neat stuff. One in particular was what Oregon was doing.
Yeah.
And so, we've seen 20 volts and 40 volts and 36 volts
60
and
volts.
56 and 82, 120 volts.
Bigger's better.
Yeah, I guess so. But definitely they took a different route with this. So with Oregon, they've got their 120 volt system that is just coming out. They're literally aiming this straight at gas. They're saying this is a gas powered equivalent. In fact, that they believe they're going to outperform gas models.
Okay.
So
That's
this
bold.
could.
That is a bold claim.
Very bold, and especially if the lawn care guys, the landscaper guys, they're pretty skeptical on when it comes to cordless stuff.
Just a little.
Yeah. But interesting what Oregon's doing with their 120 volt line is a backpack use. So you wear this on your backpack as a backpack, and you can get the backpack and everything. They have a slim model battery. They have an extended life battery, and then however, their blower doesn't utilize the backpack. Their blower actually is a backpack blower.
Right.
Now, I was kind of curious about that because you would think it would kind of make sense if you've already got a backpack battery, why they didn't make a handheld blower that you just plug into. Regardless, their backpack blower is pretty stout. We haven't put it on run it through the gauntlet of tests that we have our other blowers yet, but we'll definitely do that. But their stick tools, the edger, the hedge trimmer, and their weed eater or their line trimmer, they're very stout. I will say, very impressed with their performance so far.
So first impression, you think this has enough muscle and runtime to get the attention of pros?
I'm very skeptical at saying this, and I would definitely not say this before, but yeah, I think so. I think it's got a shot. I really do. Blower, no. I don't think the blower's there yet.
Yeah.
Maybe for that person that just blows leaves and stuff, maybe. But I don't think it's stepping up to the gas-powered stuff like in our backpack blower shootout we had. It's definitely not there. But as far as the line trimmer, it's a beast. And I mean, we saw it at GIE with, I think, a 36-inch line.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was really crazy. And again, they're not recommending that.
Hope not.
But as far as running 15, 17 inches out,
Yeah.
no problem whatsoever. Their hedge trimmer is really cool. It's an articulated hedge trimmer, and it actually goes positive and negative.
Okay.
So getting low cutting stuff or higher stuff, that's really stout, and then their edger as well. So again, it's the Oregon 120 volt line. They're calling it their professional line, and they're aiming it straight at the gas users and trying to replace that. So we'll follow up, and you can get on OPE reviews and actually check that out. But that's kind of the OPE report for this week.
That's pretty cool. I think that's neat. It's going to be fun to see where they go.
Definitely.
For sure.
Now, sorry, didn't end that.
No, we ended the OPE report. You can't do anymore.
You can't. Yeah, we're done. We're done. Sorry.
I did want to mention, we're in Central Florida, and so I think a big hurdle is going to be wearing a backpack. Does that lawn guy
for everything?
Exactly.
Yeah. They're used to it for blowers, but for everything else.
Yeah. Do they want to wear a backpack the whole day?
Does it have hip straps on it?
It does have a hip strap on it.
So if they can get a comfortable fit and they can get some airflow down the back, they got a shot.
And that would be my concern, Kenny, is the airflow. That there's no vents, if you will. There's definitely no fan. But again, it may not be an issue. It may not be an issue whatsoever. Definitely a quieter tool, but we'll see what the pros think about it.
Yeah,
Cool.
let's find out, and then we'll let you know. And if you've got thoughts, again, hashtag PTR live, and let us know. I'd like to know if you think it's a good idea or not, or if you are interested in that type of tool. So
We might like to know too, not just you.
Yeah.
yeah.
Don't send it to Clint.
It'll go to everybody. I mean, it's how it works.
That's self-centered at ProToolReviews.com.
Thank you very much. Sorry. So let's move on to fan feedback. We actually heard from, it's funny, all we know is BDA is the name from PTR website. And he had a question.
That's been doing all right.
Yeah, I think that's what it stands for. Yeah. It's pretty, okay, he had this question, and it was cool because it kind of made me go, huh. I kind of surmised the answer, but it's a reasonable question. He says, why don't all of these cordless finish nailers have swappable magazines? Why don't you just use the same system and swap the magazine out to the different sizes? And I thought, well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
But we know the answer, but it's still a good question.
And yeah, we had some thoughts, but we also reached out to Rigid to help us answer this question because they make both cordless nailers and pneumatic nailers. And really, this guy's asking about both. He's thinking, well, why can't I just, and what Rigid has to say is right in line with what we were thinking. And the tolerances on those fasteners are so tight. The driver blade has to be very, very precise when you're working with, even moving from 15 to 16 gauge, and then of course from nails to staples and all that jazz. Yeah. They're just too tight in order to make any of them a multi-head type of system.
Yeah, you can't get from 15 to 18, 15, 16, and 18.
Yeah, you're either going to end up with a driver that doesn't have enough power to drive the nail, or you're going to end up with something that's so powerful that it's damaging the fasteners on the way in.
Yeah, and we've had discussions before with engineers when it comes to brushless motors and how things have to be tuned. We've talked about line trimmers with brushless, we've talked about drills, and there's a lot of electronics and tuning in the electronics specifically for the head that it's driving or the fastener that it's driving or the line head that it's driving. So I could definitely see how that'd be almost impossible without something like a programmable feature.
One key? Could we see a one-key finish nailer?
Yeah. So maybe.
Maybe that's a step I don't want. I just want to grab the right one and go.
Exactly.
So our next thing that we're going to talk about is kind of really, really interesting, and it really caught my attention because it's something you don't often think about. So we're not the only people who do tool reviews and talk tools and deal with the construction industry. We have a lot of people that we like that do the same thing or do similar stuff, and I want to talk about them right now. And one of those is Jonathan Smeagol from Pro Remodeler. He did a really cool article on makeup air.
Where they cool us off before they do the makeup on a video shoot?
No, and it's not when a mommy and a daddy air get together and make up after a fight.
Well, it's unfair for me to guess because
you know
in air conditioning.
Because because you do air conditioning. Yeah. So listen. If you bought a new house, or if you've got in the last decade or whatever, you're starting to see air conditioning systems are changing. Fans are becoming more powerful. So you got your exhaust fans in bathrooms. You've got your fans over top of your stoves.
Right.
And you know, your ranges. So I mean, there's all these devices now in your house that basically take air from inside your house and they put them outside. Well, makeup air is basically, you got to bring air back in. So it's either going to come through leaks in the house or it's going to come from somewhere. And,
Well, and that's another good point, Clint, is we're sealing houses tighter than we ever have.
Absolutely.
I mean, we got house wraps, we got, you know, multiple pane windows.
They don't
we
build
got
them like they used to. They're a
Gaskets
lot-
on
yeah.
gaskets. So, you know, a lot of times, again, used to an air conditioning, you didn't worry about it because air was going to come in from
It
somewhere.
would come in through the attic. It
Yeah.
was going to come in from somewhere.
And our old bathroom vents were what, 50 CFM at best, probably?
Yeah.
And as well as, you know, if we had vents or anything like that, range hoods, they were very small CFM. But anyway,
Yeah.
starting to
now
take away your thunder.
No, that's exactly
Yeah.
right. And now you got stuff that's, you know, in commercial kitchens and things that are like, you know, pushing hundreds and hundreds
Yeah.
of CFM. I mean, it's crazy. So they're actually designing makeup air systems to put fresh air back in. Because think about it, if you're pulling that air from your attic or somewhere, you're bringing in mold and moist
good point.
air and things like, you don't want that. So what I thought was cool about the article is not only did he go through it, he kind of talked a little bit about designing these systems and what's involved, but he kind of told some cool stories too. Like the one that caught my attention, it was kind of frightening, was a restaurant had a malfunction. And so all of the, can you imagine? All of the exhaust systems were working, all of the makeup air systems were not.
Down.
So where did the air come from? The traps from the toilets were bubbling up and through into the place. So you can imagine the smell in the
Very nice
restaurant.
smell.
Yeah.
Where's the makeup air system in here?
We don't have a makeup air system in here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Are you saying we need one?
I don't think we need one. We're not going to do one. Open a door or a window.
I'm
Do we need one right now?
I'll be right back.
And a word from our
Okay.
sponsors.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, check out ProRemodeler.com. They've got some great articles. Really love that site. Some really good writers, good people over there. And they've got some very relevant construction industry news and topics. So. Listen, these tooltips are for, you guys are new on the field. You're starting out in the construction industry. They're just meant to be helpful. And there's a lot of pros that I'm sure you work with that could give you even further insight on this. But, let's just start with a basic tooltip for this week.
Okay, sounds great, but this is our third show, right?
Yeah.
Am I the only one with any tooltips?
Oh, you want other people out?
I think Kenny's got this one.
This
What I'm
Kenny,
saying.
you want Kenny to do this? Kenny, off the top of your head, tooltip for the week.
I got nothing.
You got nothing?
All right. Well, let's talk about circular saws then.
Perfect.
Okay. So a lot of guys want to know, how do I make a better circular saw cut? And there's some simple ideas out there. The two most obvious are to slope down.
Yeah.
Let the blade and the motor do the work. That's going to be a big help straight away. And then just simply increase the tooth count of the blade. So a lot of times depending on what size saw you got, it's coming with an 18 tooth or 24 tooth framing blade or demo blade. You can move up into something like 40 tooth, or Diablo's got an ultimate finish blade. That's going to give you a much, much finer cut.
Right.
What about turning the blade around backwards?
Yeah, that's for Hardy.
Oh, okay.
And if you can't afford a Hardy blade,
Or Formica, works on that.
or
too.
Formica, yeah.
Yeah, don't try that for now. Just
That is not a tooltip.
Not for
That's
sheet
not-
goods,
We're not endorsing that tooltip.
not endorsing that one.
In a pinch.
No, but so where you can go from there, if you're in a pinch, you either can't get your hands on a better finished blade, or you just want to make the most of the one you got.
Right.
First of all, start off by flipping the material so that the side that's going to show is down. Tear out happens on the back side of a cut, so that's going to make sure that the side that's against the wall or whatever you're working on is not showing. So first thing. Second thing, go ahead and make your marks. Measure out where you want mark, and then take some painter's tape. Pull that across those two marks so you know that your cut line is covered completely. Make those marks again, then use your straight edge, use a level or whatever you like to make your cut line. And once you've got that down, just go ahead and make your cut. Keep it slow as you go, because remember, the goal here isn't to cut it as fast as possible. The goal is to get the cleanest cut out of the blade that you can. And that painter's tape is going to hold down the edge of that material some, so that you're not getting nearly as much tear out as you would without it. So still not quite as good as using a track saw,
Right.
but it's kind of bridging that gap between the two types of tools.
And it's keeping you from going back and forth between blades if you don't have a second tool or something like
Right,
that.
correct.
Okay, well, cool. Well,
Great
good
idea.
tip. Good tip. So, hey, go ahead and visit protoolreviews.com, opereviews.com, and shoptoolreviews.com. Use the hashtag PTRLive if you're going to ask questions or you're going to share us on social media. We are on just about every channel. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we love bringing this stuff to you, and we love answering your questions. So thanks for watching.
Catch you later.
Stay classy.
Stay classy.
Stay classy.
Stay classy. I like it. I came up with it.